All right, Super Bowl week. 49ers and Chiefs, a rematch of a Super Bowl we saw almost a handful of years ago now. That was a really close game. Might remember the missed throw from Jimmy Garoppolo that could have won it, at least tied it for San Francisco. So I think we're in for another good one, and the spread would certainly indicate that Vegas thinks so as well. It's Onorato and Miller. You're stuck with just Onorato this week. Good to get back into the podcast. And so we're happy to be on. If you're watching us live or on a Thursday night, we're with you on Thursdays at 6:30 on News Channel 13 social media. If you're catching us on the weekend, it's Super Bowl weekend by now, Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, but still before kickoff. I'll give you our picks. Both me and Ashley will look back on the wild card weekend. We were really good with our picks on wild card weekend. The season totals look surprisingly really good. We'll remember 23-24 for our picks as being really good this year. And we've got a bunch of guests to get to. NOVUS Clothing Company, proud partner of the podcast. They've got a player on the Chiefs and a player on the 49ers. We'll talk with Garrett Bernardo, one of the owners of NOVUS Clothing Company, about this exciting weekend for the company to have Harrison Butker and George Odum playing in Super Bowl 58. We'll talk with Greg Gattuso, Albany football head coach, now that signing day is in the books and almost all the incoming class has been announced and is ready to go. And then we'll step outside of sports, as we know we like to do that a little bit. We'll talk with Joe Minoso, Jessy Schram, two of the stars of the NBC Chicago series, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. A lot to do this week on the pod. Let's get it going.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpen House.
A lot of love to all of our partners here on the show. Alpen House, certainly, of course, our title sponsor, but Saratoga Eagle with Michelob Ultra and a new venture for the owner, Jeff Uklick. We'll talk about that in the coming weeks from Saratoga Eagle. Our guys, NOVUS, as I mentioned, Marcellus Appliance Center, Performance Industrial. We'll get to the Dirty Difficult Done segment of the week here as well. But it's Super Bowl week. And, it's funny watching Conference Championship Sunday. Ash and I both found ourselves pulling for the opposite sides here, Detroit and Baltimore, just for something different and new. But truth be told, the same way I view the Final Four in the men's basketball tournament, I want the best teams when we get down to it all. And now that we've got one game to decide a champion, I think we've got the best teams. Kansas City is still incredibly good, and they're getting better this year. For as poorly as they played at times this season, they've got it going now. Kelsey is an impactful player again from the tight end position. Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. The run game is underrated, and I'll talk about what Isaiah Pacheco might do on Sunday against this 49ers defense. But then you look at San Francisco, they were the class of the NFC all year long. So I think we have the best matchup. There may be a little Kansas City fatigue the way we got with New England. Fourth Super Bowl in 5 years for Kansas City. How about that? Man, that's rare territory right there. Rare territory. So Patrick Mahomes can become the fifth quarterback all time with 3 or more Super Bowl victories. Brady, Montana, Bradshaw, Aikman, Mahomes can join that group with 3 or more Super Bowl victories. So a spot perhaps in the history books for Patrick Mahomes, even before he turns 30 years old. Pretty incredible what he may accomplish on Sunday if the Chiefs can beat the 49ers. Again, it's a small number. You see it there. Some books have it at 2.5 in San Francisco's favor. Number I saw midweek was 1.5 in favor of San Fran. So that's the number we're using here on the show as I'll give our picks coming up here in a little bit. There's history here for the 49ers too. They can tie the Patriots and Steelers for most Super Bowl titles as a franchise with 6. So it's a lot here at stake. It's. I think it's going to be fun. We've gone more than 5 minutes into the show and I haven't said Taylor Swift's name. There it is. It's kind of comical to me how angry people get. The fact that networks are showing Taylor Swift at the game. Like, yes, she is a beyond ridiculously famous global celebrity. If she's at any sporting event, the network is cutting away to shots of her in the crowd multiple times throughout the game. Period. It happens. Watch a Knicks game. Watch a Lakers game. It happens all the time. She's one of those celebrities that can't win. And I'm not like obsessed with her on any level. I think she's ridiculously talented. But I just think that she's always in a no-win situation. People love to hate on her. And you know what? It's been good for ratings for the NFL. And it's been good for her brand and Travis Kelce's brand too. So I'm sure they aren't complaining. The conspiracy theories that are out there that the NFL rigged this thing so that Taylor Swift would be at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, I can't get behind it. The Chiefs have the best quarterback in football. That's how they got there. And Kansas City's defense is the best it's been since Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes were leading this kind of charge. So quick number I'll throw out at you, the over-under I saw was 47.5. I like the under. I think they combined to score 51 a few years ago, different teams. I like the under in this one. And that leads me to this here. If it isn't Mahomes and if it isn't Brock Purdy to win MVP, Christian McCaffrey, of course, is a guy a lot of people talk about. A lot of people are talking about Travis Kelce. But here's where I see the difference coming in this game. It's the 49ers front four for me, a unit that has been underwhelming for stretches of the season, hasn't done enough in the postseason to this point, if you ask me. When you have guys like Nick Bosa and Chase Young on the outside, and you've got good guys in the middle, Hargrave, of course, being most notable among that group. This is a big difference maker. Can they get to Mahomes? The Niners won't have their all-pro left guard, Joe Thuney. Can the tackles hold up against those DNs? Do the Chiefs have to use Kelce in blocking situations? Are they running 2 tight ends, Justin Watson out there to try to give Mahomes a little bit of protection? Does Isaiah Pacheco have to stay in to pass pro? That could be a big factor. 49ers receiver. You've got all pros in Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Talked about this Chiefs defense. It's been really, really good. Are these guys going to get separation to make some of these throws easy for Brock Purdy? Or can they get a lot of yards after the catch? Those 2 units for the Niners. I think for Kansas City, it's Isaiah Pacheco. And I'm going to throw a little bit down on Pacheco to score 2 touchdowns on Sunday. Pacheco to score 2 touchdowns. And you'd say, hey, if he scores 2 touchdowns, isn't he the MVP? If the Chiefs win, yeah, maybe. Maybe. I think Pacheco's a difference maker here. He's been averaging 70 yards a game. Niners have shown a weakness in the run game. They give up more than 100 yards to Aaron Jones, a game that Packers, you know me, certainly should have won. I think the Chiefs will be able to run the ball effectively against San Francisco. And I think Pacheco could be in for a pretty good game in Super Bowl 58. All right, we'll do our picks here coming up in a little bit. We have 2 newly named defensive coordinators in the NFL with strong Capital Region ties. We'll talk about the opportunities ahead for Anthony Weaver and Jeff Hafley. NBA trade deadline has come and gone. Any impactful moves that we're really watching? We'll talk about that a little bit as well. And Bill Belichick left out in the cold when it comes to head coaching positions. Are we surprised? Should we be surprised? We're back on Onorato and Miller right after this.
Great memories start with Alpenhaus. Alpenhaus Ski and Board Shop, Amsterdam and Clifton Park Center.
The great thing about NOVUS is no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right, here we go. Pick time. Let's look at how we did wild card weekend, and we'll run through this really quickly. My picks, Ash's picks from wild card weekend. There were 6 games. How did we do? 6-0. And I will take that. I'm feeling good looking at that 51-40 at worst. I finished 10 games over 500, and there's Ash. She's over 500 as well after a 4-2 wild card weekend. All right, who do we like in the Super Bowl? The world seems to be on Kansas City, and I was too, but it just felt like a lot of momentum in that way. I know they have Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid, and I'm taking the Niners here. I mean, do we forget they probably the best running back in all of football, Christian McCaffrey? You mentioned those 2 all-pro wide receivers. George Kittle is still a top-tier tight end. They've got the defensive guys, the front 4 we mentioned, but don't forget Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw in the linebacking core. Niners. I think Kyle Shanahan, I say, finally gets one. I'm taking the 49ers. Ash likes the Chiefs here. And how do you argue against that pick given what they've been able to accomplish as a franchise in the last 5 years, as we mentioned? All right, how about the news here? The defensive coordinators being named here: Anthony Weaver, Jeff Hafley. Weaver is a Saratoga Springs grad, played for Notre Dame and then for the Texans and Ravens. He is the Dolphins' new defensive coordinator. And Jeff Hafley, who played football at Siena College when that school still had a football program, leaves the head coaching position at Boston College. Interesting. To take a defensive coordinator job in the NFL. We are going to have both of these guys on this show sometime in the month of March. So certainly look out for that.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Back on Onorato and Miller, Super Bowl week. And look, it's rare we have a local connection to the Super Bowl, but we've got a few reasons to talk. Super Bowl 58, Chiefs, Niners, with our guy Garrett Bernardo from NOVUS, because 2 NOVUS athletes are in the Super Bowl this year. Harrison Butker, Chiefs kicker, George Odum, who got a shout out as special team star in the NFC Championship game. And he's exactly that. He's been an all-pro. George Odum from the 49ers. Gee, it's good to see you, man. Hey, congrats on just this thing working out so perfectly for you guys.
Yeah, it's just how we planned it. I mean, we talked to the guys in the beginning of the season. We said, you both, if you're going to be novice athletes, you got to be in the Super Bowl.
Hey, don't go there, man. There are a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that think the Chiefs are only there because of Taylor Swift. So don't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, it's just the coolest thing ever. I mean, the Super Bowl, to have 2 athletes, opposing teams going head to head. We're really, really excited, and it's going to be a great game. I don't know if I should say, but I don't think I expected the Chiefs to be in this game. The Niners look pretty strong all year, but the
Yep.
Chiefs have become a new team. So I guess it makes it that much more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look, you win either way, which is nice. Butker kicks the game-winning field goal with 8 seconds to go in last year's Super Bowl. So I don't know. Are you thinking like, hey, lightning doesn't strike twice? We can put a little money up here and feel good about it. You guys are doing something really cool. I'll outline it quickly, and then you give me a little more background and information on it. $100,000 pledge. That's a lot of money. You could have said, hey, we'll do $1,000, but you go $100,000 pledge donation to what's called the Hope Center in Kansas City. Harrison does a lot of work for them, I know, and you've decided that if Butker wins the MVP, NOVUS is going to make $100,000 donation to this organization in Kansas City, which does a lot of good for youth especially, but families in need in the Kansas City area. And then we'll get into the other side too. But here, a kicker to win MVP, it would be a first, and you guys would be on a hook for a big donation, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, it's like I think we always are looking for ways to use the platform that God gives us. And with Harrison being on the national stage, and like, I think everyone that's been following Harrison knows he's had the opportunity to kick some game winners. I mean, we were fortunate enough to be at the game, the Super Bowl last year when he kicked the game winner. But really just saying, okay, can we use this opportunity to create, an opportunity to do more good? And that's where, just with talking to Harrison and his team about, what's a foundation that you're really passionate about that we could come behind to do something special. That's where the Hope Center in KC came up, and, an amazing organization that's supporting, youth, but really kids of all ages through even the college age demographic, to do great things in the KC community. And things that we felt like really aligned with our brand. So, the pledge is definitely, it makes it an exciting headline, I think, but more so we feel like, coming together and using what we can do to just draw some positive attention on a foundation that's doing great things too in Kansas City.
Yeah, it won't be the first time you guys helped write a big check for a worthy organization with all the good stuff you guys do in the capital region. All right. Okay. So if he doesn't win MVP, there's still a way for communities to win big time. And that's if Harrison kicks the game-winning field goal with a minute or less to play. You guys are going to outfit some high school varsity football teams. Where did this idea come up?
Yeah, well, that's just like, we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to put what we do best out there. And obviously tying in the two teams and the cities that are going head to head. We thought it'd be a fun way to just let, the Kansas City and the San Francisco community know, like, hey, we're out here, and we provide the premium custom team apparel and the sportswear, but to really just say, hey, like, root for our guy, watch our guy in the biggest stage. And should he get that opportunity again to kick the game winner, we want to come behind it in a big way and open up more relationships through it. So our whole business is built on relationships, and we just have been very blessed to meet so many amazing people in schools and organizations over the years. So I think, with the Super Bowl, depending on how things go, we hope to meet amazing new people through this and groups. So yeah, we've actually already been getting some calls from some schools that are seeing the press release. So yeah, it's an opportunity to really build a relationship. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, you would be donating football jerseys to schools in San Francisco and in Kansas City area is really cool. And you're right. I'm sure a lot of schools are like, technically we may not have a Kansas City mailing address, but we are in. So
Yeah.
Good problems to have, right? Good problems to have. That would mean Harrison made a huge kick and you guys can do a lot of good. Couple of things here that are, well, let me just ask you, how will you be rooting on Sunday? Because I know we all say like, I don't have a rooting interest, but a lot of times I say that too. And I find myself pulling one way or another. Did you grow up a Niners fan by any chance, being a kid of the 90s, or a Cowboys fan, or always the Giants?
Yeah. Giants. I was Giants fan, went to Giants camp growing up. So yeah, I mean, that's the Giant roots are still me at my core. Having a couple athletes in it, it's kind of hard you want to root for them to do well and play their best. I think the storylines on both sides are really cool. Like Chiefs are kind of building a dynasty here. So it'd be a special story if they came out on top. But with Brock Purdy and the 49ers and what they're doing, and we'd love to see it for George, like his first Super Bowl ever. So it's hard for us to really pick a team. Like, it's kind of a win-win for us either way. So yeah, we're just looking forward to the game.
All right, I'll let you off the hook. Unrelated to the Super Bowl here, another novice athlete who's had a really good week is Joseph Girard III, playing his grad year at Clemson. The Tigers go to the Dean Dome and win at North Carolina, the number 3 team in the country at the time. You have guys just everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we were rooting for Joe when they were up against Duke. Some questionable calls at the end there. But last night's game was so awesome. I mean, to see, Clemson really come in and make a statement against UNC. I think their all-time record's like 2-60.
Correct.
Like against UNC. So that was a statement win. And I'm excited to see them make a run in the tournament.
Yeah, PJ Hall plays really well for them as well.
Yeah,
down at Clemson. Okay, locally, Gian, I'll let you run after this. It was announced on Wednesday morning that Section 2, and specifically the Suburban Council schools, are adding girls flag football for the spring of 2024. Yes. Really cool. New sport. It's rare you get new sports added, but we had girls golf added recently. Now girls flag football, because that sport has just absolutely exploded across the state, across the country. They're going to have a state championship. I mean, it's going to incorporate every single level of competition that a high school sport would have. And Novice gets to outfit all of those teams. How cool is that to be at the ground level of a sport that is giving girls an opportunity to play a sport they otherwise wouldn't have the chance to play, really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're all in. We're so excited for the opportunity. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be a cool uniform to make too. On the design front, we're already working on the designs and
nice.
Doing some reversibles. But it's cool to see Section 2 just growing in that way. I'm really excited to just watch the progression of it, because I think there's probably a lot of women out there that are excited to show what they can do out on the field. I had a personal experience where when I was down in South Carolina at school, I coached a powder puff flag football team, and we did win it all. But those girls knew more about football than I did, and maybe it's because they were down in the South, but it was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get going with this. And yeah, like we've seen even the sport of volleyball take off with what's going on in the AAU leagues and all that. So who knows, maybe flag football is the next big thing. So it's cool.
They played at the Pro Bowl. If it ended up in the Olympics one day, I don't think anybody would be surprised. And the announcement was made on National Girls and Women in Sports Day, which was really, really cool. Just perfect timing for that. So that was awesome. Dude, congrats as always on all the success. Enjoy Sunday being hopefully stress-free because however it shakes out, it's good for Novus, man. Thanks, G.
No doubt. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, Genair, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right, back on Onorato and Miller, and we say it a lot, 90% sports on this show, but anytime we can land some guests like Joe Minoso and Jessy Schram, we're all over it. The two stars from two of the three hit Chicago shows on NBC, and it's back Wednesday night, and this is certainly something we've all been missing since entertainment was shut down for a little bit, but back in a big way now. Joe and Jessy, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Why is it possible to not have too much Chicago on one night?
Oh, because it's impossible to have too much Chicago, period.
In general.
It's the greatest city ever. And if you're lucky, you get 3 hours a week.
Yes.
That's the way I see it.
Yes.
Are there any like rivalries between the shows as to who gets slotted where, and is Med responsible for all the success of the others because it kickstarts things? Is that stuff talked about? Interesting.
I'll let you handle that question. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to let her speak first.
Well, I think all the shows complement each other so well. They're so different in so many ways. They have Chicago as their backdrop, though, and they have a lot of action, a lot of drama, and a lot of heart. So they have so many things that are similar, and there's so much that's different about them, too. So I think that what's different is what keeps people tuned into everything. And what also keeps them tuned in is that they have a family within Chicago. It's just every hour you're getting a different family. You're getting a different house at Thanksgiving, basically.
That's so well put.
Right.
But also, Chicago Fire did start the whole thing.
They were the platform.
You had the mic drop ready, Joe, and I'll still let you take this one here, because Jessy was really born right there in Chicago. You spent a lot of time in Chicago. What is it about the city of Chicago that almost makes it necessary to have lived there and experienced it and grown there that translates through character development?
Well, I would certainly say the blizzard that we're in right now is a big part of it. One of the things that you get to look forward to in Chicago filming is the weather will almost always never cooperate. And so we are constantly dancing to be able to make it through. Jessy doesn't have to worry about that so much. Over on Club Med, they have a kind of a more relaxed kind of vibe going on.
We have a more steady thermometer.
All their trailers are indoors. And just the best crafty setup ever, really.
It's true.
That's I think one of the great things about the fact that we get to film here is that we live in it, and I think that translates incredibly to the screen. It's like you really get to see how we interact with the elements around us day in and day out. And as somebody who's from New York and has lived in Chicago for almost 20 years now, the city is just so incredibly welcoming and so embracing, and it's like that kind of love. You just want to live in it forever. I'm a Chicago lifer.
Ooh, Okay, well, that's going to lead into my next series of questions here. Jessy, being the Chicagoan that you are,
Yes.
you're a North Sider. You're automatically makes you a Cubs fan, right? I mean, you can't deviate from that. Are you allowed to? Oh,
Here's
no.
the thing.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing. I have to be honest. In growing up, I was a White Sox fan, like I was, and now I feel like I'm more of a Cubber.
Okay.
Gotta just
And
put
Joe,
that out
have you
there.
lost any of those New York roots in your fandoms and changed to Chicago in any way?
The Chicago Cubs won the World Series the year that I got married. You're welcome.
Wow.
So I figure, like, I'm a fan of sports in general. I like watching teams excel. It is just I'm just happy to be able to watch anything.
Do you see how careful he was with that?
Yeah, I'm
Do you
very
see how
political now.
careful
Yeah.
that was?
Yeah, I'm watching myself. I don't want to piss off anybody in New York or Chicago. Sports are all great, and so are all cities.
I love sports.
waiting for a mayor's office to open somewhere soon. Jessy, it's funny. I'm not medically inclined in any way, but I always tell friends and family, don't Google the symptoms. Don't go on WebMD. However, as somebody who is now playing a doctor, do you find yourself Googling all kinds of terms and conditions and symptoms and filling your head with it?
While we do have medical advisors and so many people in the field, I will Google like, you shouldn't see my search history. If somebody were to look at it, they'd be like, what is this woman experiencing? But yeah, I would say in general, don't Google. That's not a great thing for anybody. But if you need to remember how a word is said or see the pictures or, learn the worst case scenario of anything, Google is your best friend.
No, this is why another reason that I could not be on Chicago Med. Because I would be convinced that I had everything that we're talking about on the show.
The phobias that you all of a sudden develop just because of an episode that you're doing, you're like, I didn't know that I'm terrified of that.
Just watching the show. It's like, well, God, I hope I don't never get GERD.
But we heal people too. So it's like the worst case scenario, but they're good. Usually.
Yes, absolutely. Usually.
Because we're great doctors.
The best
Here's
in Chicago.
a little bit of a serious one, and then I'll sneak one in at the end here if I can. But what appreciation has playing each of these roles given you for firefighters and for medical professionals? Either of you can start.
The superhuman aspect. I mean, when you talk about a superhero, that's what the people in the medical field and fire, like all the first responders, I think that's the first and foremost thing that I've got from this is these are superheroes. And I'm so beyond grateful for the hours that are spent, the dedication, and then these amazing superhuman people that are able to make decisions in a split second to literally save lives and help somebody further their health and where they're going in life.
And I think it's important that we just take a moment to understand that these people are also humans, and what I've seen a lot in the fire service is people who are too busy saving lives to worry about their own, especially mentally. And so, when you see a first responder, maybe give them a smile and a wave because they deserve it. And you don't know how hard they're really working.
I love that. And then
how much they've given up to be able to do that.
Yeah. Lastly, from me, now that you are back on set and shooting and the series is starting back up here, what is it like now to return to what you truly love to do after having it not taken away, but the downtime the industry had?
The best.
Yeah.
The best.
I mean, the amount of joy that was on set between our cast and crew, and there are so many people involved in a production. People have no idea the amount of lives that come together to make these shows happen. And so to get to see everybody's face, the amount of joy that has been on set is amazing. And it was, you take a break and there's a lot of hardships in that, but I think people got to do life, and coming back, there's even more of an appreciation for having the jobs that we do.
It's a gift. It's a real gift. And especially since we came back, I think in the middle of November. So it was like 4 weeks and then vacation. So Like it's like, what are we going to complain about?
Right. You get your toes still. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I was able to be like very finding our footing of like, we've been away for a while and now it's back. And
we're back, and we're back in the grind for sure. Like you forget how exhausting it is.
Yes.
But you learn very quickly that it's a grind. But it's the greatest possible job in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be happier.
I love that. This has been fun for us, guys. Thank you so much, Jessy, and Mayor of Anytown, USA, Minoso. Thank you so much for
not any town, but like
a Chicago town.
Yeah, Chicago town. There you go.
Fair enough. Wednesdays from 8 until 11, the family of Chicago shows on NBC and News Channel 13. Thank you, guys.
Thank
you.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
The mountain is calling. Are you ready? At Alpenhaus, we have everything you need for your season on the slopes. Our expert team is ready to help you find the perfect setup for an amazing winter of skiing and snowboarding. With a great selection of the industry's top brands, you'll find the right skis or board to match your experience and style. And all the best equipment and accessories to keep you safe and comfortable. Get outside and play with Alpenhaus, run by skiers and riders since 1964.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Back on Onorato and Miller, and we're joined by Albany football head coach Greg Gattuso. Exciting news. Hey, Coach, remember when there used to just be one signing day and you just had to worry about high school recruits? Boy, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Well, it's like I tell everybody, in the old days, 4 years ago, a lot of things were different, I honestly, you have to understand what signing day used to be at colleges. It was 5:30 in the office, coffee, bagels, donuts for everybody. Compliance was here. Fax machines were rolling. People were cheering. When I was at Pitt, I thought they lost their minds. I was like, what is going on? Because, at the smaller colleges, you don't have quite the same signing day. But it was a big thing, the signing day. You have an evening, announcing to the fans in your season. It's so different now. One of my friends is, I just heard this story today. It's great. One of my buddies at a Power 5 school. Yeah. He was new to the place, and he's not on the staff. He's an analyst, and he was like, "Oh heck, today signing day. I better get in really early because that's what we do with this." So he goes like 6 a.m. Gets there, it's empty. No one shows up until like 8:30. It's just different now. Half the kids on that list are here. The transfers are pretty much every transfer that's on there is here, getting ready to and been here for a couple weeks. So it's just
right.
Different. It really is different, and I feel bad for the freshmen because it's not their day. It's like you took the prom away from all the girls in high school, and it's different.
I mean, look, most of them announce on social media even before it gets to the, there's very few have the hats out on the table and they pick up a hat and put on. It's just not done that way anymore. But you mentioned the transfers. Let's start there. And obviously the one transfer everybody's going to focus on, Coach, is the new quarterback. And I'll say presumed starter. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but knowing that he was recruited out of high school and played at Wisconsin, like people are just going to assume the job is his. But in that room, when you're trying to make up for what Reese Poffenbarger did for this program, you have to bring in multiple guys to see who the best guy is, correct?
Yeah, I think, Trey Lindsey was at Auburn and was there for 3 years. And so it's really, to us, it's an open battle. I mean, we went through that. I think the way we did it last time was great. It was fair. Through the spring, nobody jumped out. So we brought, Reese came in the summertime and, he won the job pretty quickly. So it's all, I mean, I love to use the word meritocracy and I beat it into my kids because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. Griff Waddell's not the starting running back here because he's from Glens Falls. He's here because he's earned a job, and I think that's our message to the quarterbacks. Trey came here knowing that he was going to sit behind Reese for 2 years, unless there was an injury. But now the door's open for him to have an opportunity. He's just through the roof, excited about the chance. And and Miles is really a talented kid. He was great in high school. He was backed up as a freshman. Coaching change always gets quarterbacks mostly, and so we feel good. We feel good about our younger quarterbacks too. Jordan Ray showed some potential last year. He's a very athletic kid, and Van Weber is a prep school kid that we bringing in this class. That's more your 6'3 and a half, strong arm pocket, can move, but so we got a little battle going on, and so I'm excited about that, and I think. The biggest part is I think the offense around it is stronger, on the O-line, tight ends, receivers, running backs. We've got a lot of depth.
So Miles Burkett is the quarterback from Wisconsin we're talking about. And I read your quote, Greg, that you said kind of what you just said here. You feel like this offense is in a really good place with guys coming back from, an insane offensive look, you've had back-to-back years where the offense has clicked like crazy.
Yeah, last year the offense, they've been really good. There's no question about it. I think this year the offense took longer, which was interesting. But with the idea is to have all three phases, and I think the improvement on defense and special teams was a big part of getting through some bumps in the road. But the offense, when you have Reese back there, you always have a shot to win the game. And we might be a hair different, but we have confidence in our kids, and the system is strong, and we've got a lot of depth. We actually might be able to rotate some O-linemen this year, which is like a first. So we're always hoping to do that. But it's a lot of work to do. Spring ball is going to be really important, and I can't wait. Every practice is going to be a really important practice.
What's the breakdown here? 11 transfers, I think. 11 transfers, 10 freshmen. Some were early signing period, some were this signing day. Were you more active in the transfer portal this year than since it really kind of opened itself up?
I think we were last year as well. I think we still have a group to go. We're going to be adding more kids to this team in May. And a couple of the freshmen in this class, I think 3 of them are prep school kids, so they're not really true freshmen. They've got a year post grad, which we like. They're here, so that's a big thing. So 8 true freshmen coming in is about where we're going to be, and we think they're pretty good. We think we've gotten some really good players that were slipped through the cracks that would normally get a lot more offers. It's just it's just the Wild West right now, and everyone has their own little philosophy. It's not like if you look through the list, there's an equal number of Power 5 type kids coming down to play, and a group of Division II kids that come up and play. Which I love the Division II kids because they just want to play ball. They don't care about anything else. They just want to play ball, and they go to school and they work hard. They don't complain, and we've had great success with the Division II kids. So it's a good group. We're excited. When I figure out who everybody is when they have their hoodies on and their masks on at practice. The guys I've been around, I can tell by how they walk and how they're built.
Yeah,
these guys if they change sweatshirts, I don't know who anybody is. So it's. But we're getting there. We'll get there fast.
Let me ask you the requisite local kid question here. Donald Jones, impressive high school career at CBA. What popped off the screen for you when you watched him?
We value speed here. Donald's not the biggest guy out there, but he's fast. He's athletic. But I think, I was just telling a story at the press conference. One thing for me with Donald is I got really excited watching him cover on special teams. That to me is, great football players they're going to be hungry at all times, every play. And I'm watching his highlight tape, and he's running down on kickoffs and hitting people, and he's just not a pretty boy's skill guy. He wants to mix it up, and really that's what the great players have is a physicality about them. It doesn't matter how tall they are, how big they are. He has that, and I love that about him. And I think we saw evidence of that for the last 2 years in camps and watching him play. So we're excited about him. We think he's a really good football player. he's as good as any. They say your local kids versus the out of town kids, but he's as good as anybody that we have in this class.
He's part of a talented football family, smart family too. That he
great
comes
people.
from.
We just had it's great when you have official visits. The transfers are different. They don't bring their parents necessarily. But, we got away from that freshman recruiting weekend a little bit, but we had one last weekend. It was great. It was great to just sit down with parents with the right questions, and, they're not worried about their kid getting a car or anything. They're looking for education. And so it was a nice, we had a really good group of kids, but the families were really strong. That's what makes me feel good about the class many times, is just when you like the parents, it makes things a lot easier. And they seem like they like us. So that's a positive too.
You're not going to travel quite as much this coming regular season as you did last season, because you're not insane enough to schedule it the way you previously did. But the schedule's out. You've looked at it. You know it, obviously. Aside from the conference play, which is always difficult, what excites you about the opportunities?
Well, the University of Tokyo is looking for a game, so we were thinking about that. But no, you're right. It's certainly not what we went through last year, But I think the kids, opening at home is huge. I think that last year, opening at home was big for us. When at this level, when you're playing a Power 5 school the first week, and we're basically playing 2 guaranteed games. It's a challenge, And I think last year, beating Fordham at home was, we talked about a lot of things in the season, but that was probably the biggest key. We built a lot of confidence. We have a tough home game always. First games are tough, but we can, if we play our game and can get a win in that first game, I think everybody would be excited about traveling to West Virginia. And we know they're waiting for us in Idaho. They can't wait to get us there. They probably will cancel their first 2 games to get ready to go against us. So, it's going to be an interesting opener for us with the new people and everything. But we'll know where we're at by the off week. Now we start getting into conference games.
Attendance will be good for that first one because the weather's good. Students are just happy to be back on campus and, like you said, away from their parents and families. But I read something else you said, Greg. Maybe you felt more like the really pretty girl at the school dance this off season than you have previously at UAlbany because of the success. But does that add some stress too? Like, hey, we're getting it from every angle here. People want to be part of this program, which is exciting. But now we really need to be careful about players we're bringing in.
I think this. I mean, the stress is the stress in this job. Whatever, when you're in the playoffs and you're flying to Idaho, you're sitting there thinking, what am I doing this for? But it's no different than when you're struggling. That next game could be against anybody, but when you're struggling, it's the biggest game of the year, So it's just a business. It is what it is, my big thing is building the team that you like to be around, and I try to tell everybody what we did last year started the year before. There's no question, because that football team went through a lot of hardships, never quit playing hard, battled till the end, and that's what gives you the feeling that you can accomplish something. And I think. This team coming back can have a lot of those traits. Now, how we blend everybody is going to be a big factor in it. But no, there's no extra stress. I would say about the fans that I've been telling a lot of friends, and that last game, that Richmond game, playoff game, was the most invested fan we had. I don't know how many were there or not. It doesn't even matter. It's the amount of noise and how much they were into the game. And you go around the community and everyone's waving and saying hello, coach, and great year. And we've made strides in building the program. And I try to tell everyone I talk to, we represent the University at Albany, but we carry the name of this city and this town. And I love when we get people that support. Yeah, we need our alumni and our fans, but we also need this town to support us too, because it's a fun ride, and I think a lot of new people will join the caravan next year, and that's great. That's great.
Yep. All right, we'll finish up the way we always do here, Coach. Let me fire some at you. You tell me if you've seen them or not. Now that you're in the off season, it's so funny how many
It
times
don't
have I
even
used
matter
the,
with me.
I know.
That's
How
my
many
strength.
times have I used the word off season and the number of times you've told me that doesn't exist in this business? And I know it doesn't. So I apologize. But now that you aren't playing games, now that you aren't coaching games,
Okay.
Have you taken the time to sit through Oppenheimer?
I thought it was brilliant.
How about Flowers of the Killer Moon or whatever it's called?
Flowers of the Killer Moon. I would say
Killers of the Flower Moon.
It's Killer of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Here's what I'd say about that movie.
Okay.
The subject matter is amazing and devastating, and you don't know these things happen in life until you see a movie sometimes, because you can't read every book. I thought the acting was outstanding, but I get to the point in a movie, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long. It's like, all right, I get the point. These people are bad people. Can we move on with the I thought it was too long, but I didn't like Leonardo very much. I thought he was okay. I thought De Niro was fabulous, and I forget the actress's name, but she was really good as well. Moonglow, or I can't remember her name. But I would say watch it, but more importantly, read about it, because the history behind it's terrifying.
TV shows. Have you watched The Bear?
No. If he ain't handing me the food after he cooks it, I'm not watching it.
But the portions are too small anyway. We don't want that food. That's not for us.
Yeah, I'm not the Bear guy.
All right, the show's good.
Is it?
What else are Ash and I watching? We watched a show on Netflix that I can't even remember the name of it. That's how good it was. It was okay. It's a book, really. It's
the best movies. It's the best series. It's
a little bit of a
source material.
whodunit thing, which is good. How about The Last of Us on Max?
The zombie one, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to see.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was intense. See, I'm a Reacher guy though. See, I've read every book. I love Reacher. Yeah.
So I watched season 1. I wanted all of season 2 to be released before I dove into that. So now I'll do that.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I love Reacher, and someday I'll tell you the funny story how I got on Reacher. But I love the book. I read everything. So watching this last week, I kept thinking I already knew what was, like, I saw the movie, the show, because I knew so much was coming, even though I consciously didn't know, but nothing was surprising me. But I've read every book, so I'm a big Reacher fan. Guy doesn't.
What else have you watched that people need to put on their radars?
Oh, man, I haven't watched an old Law and Order episodes lately because I'm so bored with. You know what? I really like The Winning Season. I finally got to that, the second season. I thought that was really well done.
I haven't watched it. Okay. Mm-mm.
I love it. I think it's a great. It's kind of a very loose take on the Magic years and the Burke years, and it's entertaining as heck. And John C. Reilly's amazing as Jerry Buss, and it's worth a watch. It really is.
Okay.
And it's funny. I was watching to compare. I watched they did a documentary on Bird and Magic, and I watched that, and they were showing the clips from the real clips and the stuff they did in the game. Amazingly accurate from what I saw, because I was questioning some of the film, the game stuff, but it was really good. You have to watch it. It's good. It's
okay. Yeah, look, I'm not an athlete, but I have a hard time with the actor portrayals of athletes. That's all.
These guys I'm telling you, they did a really good job with it. Like, it's I think the guy who played Magic was a chubby guy that they did a good job hiding some things, and obviously they're using stunt guys for some of the dunks and stuff.
Yeah.
But the guy that plays Kareem is like really good. Like, if you watch it, and the guy who plays Larry Bird is shockingly right on. He actually shoots exactly like Larry Bird. It's just an interesting show. Yeah. The little fadeaway over the top. Yeah. I'd watch it if I was you. I bet you really.
Okay.
It doesn't make Paul Westhead look very good, but
I lied. I have one more here. Will you watch all of the Super Bowl?
Yes, this year I will. I generally don't, but I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan, and it drives my daughters crazy. I fight with them all game. We text all game, And I keep telling them, don't mess with Patrick. You know,
They don't
my
like him.
my daughter, Katie, broke my heart by cheering for the Ravens, openly cheering for the Ravens. You can't do that when you're a Steeler fan. You're not a Steeler fan if you want the Ravens to win. Sorry.
Right.
Just kidding. Nothing evil against the Ravens, but no, I'm a Mahomes guy. I think he's the best. So
and Andy Reid. I mean, how do you not root for Andy Reid? He just seems like such a good guy, and the guy is just every year, no matter the quarterback, he's going to find a way. It's incredible.
There's an interesting stat that popped up I saw on him. He's 8-0 in the playoffs against his former assistants too.
Ooh, that's a very Belichickian Sabian thing that used to get thrown out there a lot. Interesting.
Very interesting. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I watch all the playoff games here. I haven't watched all the playoff games since I was like 17 years old. This is the first time I've done it. But there's nothing. The writer's strike. There's nothing at the movies. There's nothing.
I know.
It's been a drag. I was worried what you were going to ask in the movies, but at least you picked a couple. Oppenheimer literally brilliant to me. I know some people might not like it, but it's a great movie.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on the list.
Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You'll like it.
That's an investment. 3+ hours, right?
And that's what happened. Once football's over, we get into the holidays. That's movie time. It's
All right, buddy.
It's good talking to you.
Thank you for doing this as always. I
Give
won't
Ash
bug
a
you
hug.
until August, maybe, when you're in camp. All right. So I'll
Sure.
give you a break. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Greg. Be
All
good,
right,
buddy.
it's good talking to you.
Great memories start with Alpenhaus. Alpenhaus Ski and Board Shop, Amsterdam and Clifton Park Center.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right, here we go. We'll wrap up the show with this.
And now, dirty, difficult, and done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
A shout out to our guy, Bill Miller, Performance Industrial, where there's never a job that's too dirty or too difficult for his team to get it done. Is Bill Belichick done as an NFL head coach? 72 years old. Teams passed on him this cycle. I don't think he's done. He's certainly not done in us talking about him as a head coach, because anytime this next season there's a coach on thin ice, Belichick's name will be brought up over and over again. Like if Zach Taylor is off to a bad start in Cincinnati, do the Bengals look at Belichick? I think it's possible. I think it's also interesting in Buffalo, maybe with Sean McDermott and the Jets, right? Two teams in the Patriots division, Robert Saleh. If those teams get off to a rough start, or if they just don't perform to the level they should, are McDermott and Saleh out, and then do those franchises look at a guy like Bill Belichick? Interesting. So I'm not ready to say he's done as a head coach, but I certainly know he's not done being talked about as an NFL head coach. All right, enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. Thanks for hanging out this week on Onorato and Miller. We'll see you next week.